Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 848. Getting Caught in the Crossfire. Backlund, Empress Borough, inside the Hall family's luxurious mansion. Audrey had just tried on 3 selections of evening gowns today, and she was sitting on a cushioned chair, wondering how they could be matched with her accessories and which ones she was more inclined towards. She also pondered over her mother's opinion. At this moment, she suddenly saw an endless grayish-white and a blurry figure watching down at everything from high above appear before her eyes. Immediately after that, she saw another figure. It was a praying figure that had been shrouded by the gray fog. Her ears resounded with the corresponding words. Instead of being alarmed, Audrey was delighted. Her unease and worry that there wasn't a tarot gathering today was instantly quelled. As expected, it was nothing. Oh, Mr. World really has a psychological problem. He must have been under immense stress recently. It's no wonder he booked an appointment in advance. Audrey sighed as she began to consider when she was free. As she pondered, she scanned the maids who were busy in her room and the golden retriever, Susie, who was sitting by the door. Audrey's lips curled up slightly in an irresistible manner as she bowed her head and secretly prayed in response. Please tell Mr. World that I'm currently free. He can determine the time and location. As long as it's not night time and doesn't exceed the boroughs west of Backlund. In regards to this, the golden retriever who was observing the maid's work seemed to sense someone looking at her. She suspiciously turned her head and looked in Audrey's direction. However, it failed to discover any problems. Above the gray fog, inside the palace that looked like a giant's residence. She's free at any time. Periods when it's convenient to head out. Won't leave places she's familiar with. Klein rubbed his temples as he interpreted Miss Justice's reply. His first reaction was that it was best done today or tomorrow, and to have her determine the location. Then, he could use creeping hunger to teleport there, but he soon thought of a problem. Dwayne Dantes was part of the Nighthawk's investigations. It was very possible that he was being monitored, therefore, rashly traveling could easily expose him. Wait a few days or... Klein seriously thought about it as he conjured the World Gehrman Sparrow and prayed once again. Please inform Miss Justice that let's do it today. Above the gray fog. Ah? Audrey's eyes widened. She found that the answer provided by Mr. World exceeded her expectations. How was she supposed to get Susie to be her stand-in? Besides, there are many details that I'm unable to see or clearly sense while inside Mr. Fool's palace. It will seriously hamper any psychotherapy. Audrey calmed her sense of alarm as she posed her doubts from a position of viability, and requested Mr. Fool to pass it on to Mr. World. Before long, she received a reply again. I will request Mr. Fool to remove those restrictions. We'll use other means to conceal our true appearances. That can be done? This is the special treatment one gets from being Mr. Fool's blessed? Our continuous communication is almost like a conversation. I've really troubled Mr. Fool. And he seems to almost allow us to indulge in it. Audrey's thoughts raced as she stopped finding excuses. All right. Let's do it between 11:30 to 12:30 tonight. She didn't believe that she would have anywhere to be alone before the end of her birthday ball. At the same time, in a building at 39 Beauclund Street, Hazel was looking at the selected evening gown in boredom as she listened to her mother's repeated exhortations. She was to accompany her parents to attend Miss Audrey Hall's birthday ball. Just as Hazel's thoughts were wandering and her mind gradually turning blank, she saw a grayish-white rat appear by the door. It was frantically waving its paws. Hazel patiently listened to her mother repeat herself one more time before finding an excuse to return to her bedroom. After she closed and locked her door, the grayish-white rat appeared from somewhere and arrived by her feet. It sat there in a rather comical manner. I've discovered something wrong with the surroundings. The rat had sent vibrations in the air to speak with human words. Hazel wasn't surprised at that as she asked in puzzlement. What's wrong? The grayish-white rat raised its right forepaw and pointed out the window. There are beyonders from the Church of Evernight investigating this street. It's at a rather large scale. What are they looking for? Hazel asked with a slight frown. The grayish-white rat slowly inhaled and said, "How would I know? But it's definitely something very serious. This way, they might very well discover something wrong with you." Hazel asked, feeling somewhat worried and confused. "How did they make the discovery? Weren't the clues in the sewers blasted away? Weren't the corresponding problems dealt with?" The grayish-white was momentarily unsure about what to say. A few seconds later, it vaguely replied, "Official Beyonders have plenty of strange but effective investigation methods. In short, I'll have to deal with your dream. This is where it's easiest to divulge things." Hazel looked down at the rat as her knitted brows relaxed. "All right then. Don't look so unwilling. It wasn't easy for me to accumulate this bit of strength, and now it's going to waste once again. Is this street cursed? First it was that demoness with a strange condition. Following that hero bandit Black Emperor appeared. Now, there's some baffling and unknown situation that made the Nighthawks pay serious attention to this street." The grayish-white rat squeaked in frustration. At 7:30 in the evening, Hazel accompanied her parents, Member of Parliament Mocht and Lady Rihanna, to Empress Borough and entered the Hall family's residence. As it was a birthday ball today, she didn't manage to directly meet Miss Audrey Hall. All she did was quietly stay by her parents' side as they exchanged pleasantries with Earl Hall, Lady Caitlin, and Lord Hibbert Hall. To her, these respected aristocrats were, in essence, the same as commoners. Therefore, she didn't appear notably reserved. Her actions and tone were rather liberal. If it wasn't because of her mother's repeated exhortations, Hazel even believed that the beautiful dance floor, the murals with high artistic value, and the elegant and outstanding statues were more worthy of respect. As she smiled at the people she knew and didn't know, Hazel finally waited until the ball began. She saw the star of tonight's show. Miss Audrey Hall held the arms of the Earl and Earl's wife as she walked out of the room on the second floor before arriving at the railings that faced the dance floor. Hazel scanned her and habitually ignored her appearance as she observed the matching of her gown and accessories. However, her gaze wasn't able to move away. On the chandelier hanging high above, whale oil candles produced light that came with dreamy colors. When shining on the 18-year-old Audrey, it made her emerald-like eyes, pure and indescribable face, and lustrous gold hair seem to glow. It made her gown and accessories lose their luster. Hazel was momentarily caught in a daze. She failed to hear what Earl Hall had said until the melody filled the floor as she snapped out of her daze when Audrey Hall began the opening dance with the Earl. The always proud her had suddenly felt a little inferior. She felt that even if this striking lady didn't possess any beyonder powers, there was no way Audrey was inferior to her. Hazel pursed her lips and looked around. She realized that everyone's gaze had been grabbed. The only difference was that they all had different feelings about the situation. Phew! Hazel heaved a sigh of relief. That night, she didn't act that arrogantly again. However, she yearned to leave at every minute of the night. She wanted to head home to busy herself with her matters to obtain more magical and powerful abilities. Finally, the ball came to an end as Hazel's family bade farewell to the family and walked to the door. On the way out, Hazel couldn't help but look back. She saw Miss Audrey standing along the sides of the dance floor with a faint and beautiful smile as she expressed her gratitude to each and every guest that was about to leave. She seemed to remain under the spotlight. After the end of the birthday ball, Audrey took off her accessories and changed into her sleeping gown before entering her bathroom. As she looked at the white steam emanate with her bathrobe beside her, Audrey wasn't in a rush to soak herself inside. She first sat in the corner and prayed to Mr. Fool to indicate that she was ready. In about 10 seconds, she saw crimson light surge at her like a tidal wave, drowning her. Above the gray fog, Audrey appeared by the side of the long bronze table. This time, she didn't see Mr. Fool, who was enshrouded in gray fog. She discovered an ancient confessional. It was a brown crate that was 1.5 times the height of a person. There were doors on both sides, and a wooden plank separated the area in between them. I thought Mr. World would request Mr. Fool to conjure a wall which we will use to communicate across. Although it's essentially the same, a confessional is cramped and dark. He really doesn't know how to consider a lady's feelings. Yes, I would find it odd if Mr. World did that. As Audrey suffused a smile, she walked to the ajar door of the confessional. She bent her back and entered before sitting down with her legs bent sideways. After closing the wooden door, Audrey, who was treating a patient in the true sense of the word for the first time, suddenly felt a little excited. Immersed in darkness, the environment, and her mood made her loosen up from the many rules she had to abide by. She curled her lips and reached out her fingers and gently tapped on the wooden partition. "Hello, Mr. World, are you there?" Sitting cross-legged opposite her, Klein was infected by Miss Justice's cheerful tone. His emotions relaxed as he said, "You may begin." This time, he didn't use the gray fog to enshroud himself but had turned himself into Gehrman Sparrow. Indeed, Mr. World's mental state isn't too good. He's too tense and worried. Audrey sensed him first and then used a psychiatrist's placate. A gentle, invisible wave emanated over as Klein instantly felt a cool, refreshing morning breeze blow at him during a hot summer day. The frustrations and feverish feelings within him suddenly vanished. Seeing Mr. World having made an obvious recovery, she secretly heaved a sigh of relief and asked softly, "Have you had any nightmares lately?"